Yesterday we were at the end of the discussion of our bond, right? But we have left with one example which calculates the term structure of bond. Let me recall what we have done yesterday. So we have seen the price yield curve and yield curve of the bond. So these are the curves which are available to compare different bonds, right? So let me go through first of all price yield curve. So there are two types of curves here. It is plotted for yield to maturity on x-axis, means it is a percentage return that you are gaining, and how to calculate yield to maturity that we have seen using this equation, right? And we have derived this equation also. And the y-axis here contains the price, or it is yield to maturity versus price, but with constant coupon rate or with some constant maturity. So you can see here in first graph, it is yield to maturity versus price, and second plot is also yield to maturity versus price. So here price means present price of the bond, at which price it is selling. Okay, the face value is fixed, but what is present price, that is here on y-axis. Okay, and in the first graph, it is the curve for different value of coupon rate. So I have taken a 0%, 5%, 10%, 15% here. So there are different bonds in market which has different coupon rates. We are assuming the maturity here is same, right? Say 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever the maturity we are assuming here same. So for same maturity, there are different, you can say, coupon rate here. I think you understand now what is coupon. Okay. And in the second graph, it is different maturity. So we keep the maturity constant here for different curves, say 3 years, 10 years, 30 years. Okay. And we assume all are delivering same coupon rate, say 10%. So in figure 2, it is plotted with assuming it is 10% coupon bond, right? So if we see the graph of this bond, usually this is the shape of these graphs in most practical cases. You can see if the present price is higher, the yield to maturity will be lower, and definitely it will be there. Also, the higher coupon rate bond gives you the higher yield to maturity, right? You can see the higher coupon bond will gives you the higher yield to maturity if it is priced at some, you can say, reasonable level. Otherwise, if it is priced at very high value, then it will also not give you that much yield to maturity. We can see here the first bond trading today at 100 rupees, but not giving any coupon, 0% coupon. So if you buy today 100% bond and its face value is 100, we have assumed the face value of all bond is 100. So at the maturity, it will give you 100 rupees return. So to buy this bond at 100 rupees and not giving any coupon, and at maturity it is giving 100, so it is not giving any yield, right? 0% yield. So that is the beginning point. Now if this bond is traded at somewhat lower price compared to 100 rupees, and even though it is delivering a 0%, it gives me some yield to maturity because its face value is 100. So at maturity, I will have some capital gain. Okay, so I will have some gain on my capital investment. So you can see it will deliver some yield to maturity even though it is a 0% coupon bond if it price at less than 100, which is its face value. Now you can see same thing for 105, the bond which 5% coupon rate trading today at 105 rupees, because 5% coupon means 5 rupees coupon. So if you buy it at 105 rupees today and its face value is 100, you will not get any yield. But if it will trade at lower price than 105, right, then you definitely get some yield to maturity. Okay, and that yield to maturity will increase when the price become lower and lower. And same applies to 10%, 15% bond, and that you can see. And for higher coupon bond, the curves are shifting upward, and you can see usually the higher coupon bonds are traded at higher price in market. That is the usual trading, you can say, pattern. Now, if you come to the second graph, the higher maturity period bond usually traded at higher price, you can see. Now this all three bonds, you can see, 30 years, 10 years, 3 years are merging at one point, that is giving me 10% yield to maturity if I purchase it at 100 rupees. Why? Because all three bonds are 10% coupon bond, right? So if they are purchased at the face value, they all gives me, if they are purchased at this value, which is 100 rupees, they gives me same yield to maturity, whether it is a 30 years, 10 years or 3 years. And also you can see the pattern, the higher maturity bond traded at higher price, and usually their yield to maturity is more, you can say, sensitive to the change, while the low duration bond, or you can say a low maturity period bond, usually gives a constant yield to maturity, and the yield to maturity not change much, right? So that is the price yield curve. If we come to the second graph, a third graph, that is called yield curve. That is called yield curve. So what is this yield curve? So yield curve is here on x-axis. I think it is not visible. Let I go to the. It is. Just a minute. Yeah. So you can see on x-axis we have now years of maturity. So this maturities we are on the x-axis and their yield, that yield to maturity in percentage on the y-axis. Okay, and we are plotting this graph for all different bonds available in market. So this is not for one bond, it is for all different bonds available in market with different maturity period, and we plot their yield to maturity, and whatever pattern we get, it's called the term structure of the bond, right? It is called the term structure of the interest rate also. Term structure of bond or term structure of interest rate of bond. Actually, it is related to interest rate of bond. So it is called term structure of interest rate. Now this we have seen for the coupon bonds. If we have zero coupon bond like pure discount bond, which pays only at the maturity, there is no coupon in between, then its annualized nominal rate, if we find its annualized nominal rate, because it has only initial payment and final payment, you can calculate a simple interest rate for a period and then convert into annualized nominal rate that we have seen in the previous example. So this rate is called the spot rate. So usually we have the spot rate available for such bond, which is the zero coupon or pure discount bond. And for pure discount bond, the spot rate is equal to yield. So calculation of the yield for spot this zero coupon bond is very simple. While for coupon bond, we have to go to this formula that we have seen in the last lecture. Okay. So for pure discount bond, we can use this spot rate, which is annualized interest rate or annualized nominal interest rate that we can calculate from the term interest rate, right? We have the final value, initial value available, and from that we can calculate this annualized interest rate, and that is called a spot rate. And for pure discount bond, we are plotting here yield to maturity, which is equal to spot rate, right? And that is equal to the yield. And the collection of all this spot rate for all such pure discount bond available in market is called the term structure of such bonds or term structure of interest rate of such bonds. And now we go through the example that we have kept unsolved last time, right? Because of the time limit. So I repeat this example. So we have given this data. Assume today's date is 1st January 2003. We want to determine as many points as possible on the today's yield curve. So we want to obtain this yield curve. So we are taking some few points. Actually, it's a computerized procedure that we see in a MATLAB, but let me do it manually first. OK, so we want to obtain the points on the yields curve, right? The yield curve is the third graph. OK, yield years to maturity versus percentage return. OK, and that I want to obtain. And for that, these three different bonds available in market are specified. OK, it is given that all bonds have face value of 100 rupees. So at maturity, all will pay 100 rupees. OK, use simple interest rate formula to calculate annualized interest rate for each case, and also calculate effective annual rate using compounding for each case. So initially we have to use the simple interest rate calculation to find the yield annualized interest rate for each of these three bonds, right? And then we use the compounding. We convert this simple interest into compounding interest using the formula that we have studied. OK, so which are the three bonds given? The first bond is a pure discount bond that matures on 30th June 2003. So it has a 6 month of maturity from today, and selling price of today is 98. So its P of T is 98. Face value V is 100. OK, then second is 6% coupon bond, means it pays a 6% of its nominal value. So nominal value is 100 or face value is 100. So it pays a coupon of 6 rupees. Where? So it will pay the coupon on this date, 30th June 2003 and 30th June 2004. And its maturity is also on 30th June 2004. And today's price P of T is 101 rupees. All right. So we have two coupons, 6 rupees on this date, 6 rupees on this date, and nominal value 100 also paid on this date, and purchase price today is 101. OK, this is the second bond. Third bond, it is 8% coupon bond, mature on 30th June 2004, and it's selling today at Sorry, there are some mistake in the data. Yeah, this belongs to the second bond. Just correct it. This should be for second bond. Just I correct it. Let me go by this data. Okay. So first bond is maturing on this date, right? And it will pay a coupon of 6%. Now second bond maturing on this date, 38 June 2004, and it pays two coupon, right? 38 June 2003 and 38 June 2004, and its today's price is 105. So now let me summarize this on the Word document and then we solve it. So yesterday we have done this. So today we have this date. We have to find today's yield curve. All bonds have face value of 100. Bond 1 P of T is 98. Maturity is 38 June 2003. It is 6 months from today. It is a pure discount bond, so there is no coupon payment. Now we have to calculate for simple interest rate for a period of 6 months. So let I calculate R period. So R 6 months, let I say. What I gain only the capital, means I will get 100 rupees at maturity if I purchase it at 98 rupees today. So 2 rupees is my gain. So 2 by 98 into 100%, that is my period interest rate. So yearly simple interest rate is just 2 multiplied by this period interest rate. So that will come to this. This is a simple interest rate calculation, right? Now bond 2 is a coupon bond which matures on this 38 June 2004. So that is my third bond. And it is paying 6% coupon, means 6 rupees on 38 June 2003 and also 6 rupees on 38 June 2004. So it is 18-month bond. You can see today is 1/1/2003. So this date is 38 June 2004. So it is 18-month bond. Now I want to calculate an interest rate for our 18 months and I want to find this graph. What is my aim is to find this graph. Considering all the bonds available in market, right now I have only 3 bonds available in market. So let me proceed with this calculation. So till this, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Any doubts so far in the understanding this data? Because now onwards we have a huge data. We are dealing with financial systems, so data will be, you can say, larger. We have to understand the data. And if it is big data, we use the computerized system. Any doubts? I want to get your answer. Then I can move.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, how to calculate the compounding interest rate for first
Compounding
bond?
I will come later on. Let me complete the simple interest rate first. We have calculated for bond 1 the simple interest rate.
Okay.
The compounding we use this formula. Let I go to my back slide. So just a minute. We have seen this computer is very slow. Yeah, just a minute. Compounding. Yeah, we use this formula for compounding interest. Either if it is period interest rate, we use this. If it is a number of years, we use this. That we have used in the derivation of the yield of the bond. The same formula we will use to find the compounding interest rate. We can also use this formula. If you have R period interest rate available and if you know the number of periods per year, you can find the effective yield in the compounding formula. So we can use this formula. Okay. If you want to find absolute return, it is this. If you want to find only the annualized return, you can use this formula. So these two are useful formula for finding the compounding interest rate. This R is here compounding interest rate in this formula and here also. So we have to find this R unknown. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we are going to this 18-month bond term structure. So how to proceed with this, because these things are slightly complicated. So let we use this our balancing equation, because this bond is trading today at which price? Let I take P of T. It is given, it is 101 rupees. So I write a balancing equation. Now see, the term structure of bond is slightly different than simple calculation. So 101 is my today's price of this bond. With this bond, I get 6 rupees at the end of first 6 months. So today's value is this. It's 6 rupees. You can see is 30th June 2003 is after 6 months. And this is the payment after 18 months. Again, the notepad is not repaired properly. I have to request again. So this, hopefully you understand, it is 18 months. Okay. And further, what I get after end of the maturity, I will get my 100 rupees face value back on same date. On same date, let I write. And that is also at maturity. So 18 months. Okay. So y is equal to here? No. So it should be plus. Now say the second payment is after 18 months, but that is 6 rupees as well as 100 rupees. So let I combine these two payment. I am getting on the same date, so I can combine it. I am getting actually 106 rupees at the end of 18 months. So I'm writing here 106 rupees. It is 106 divided by 1 plus R 18 months, because it is like this. So now which thing should be substituted? Have I a knowledge of this 6-month interest rate in the market? I have two unknowns here. Am I knowing this are 6 months? Can anybody tell me? In a market, we have a bond which matures after 6 months and it is giving me 2.041% return. And second bond is this. And I want to obtain a term structure, right? So if this particular bond is also delivering the same return, right? And then I want to calculate what will be my return after 18 months with this bond if it will deliver this kind of coupons. Okay. So what I will substitute here? I will substitute here this R 6 months, which is already calculated by me in the first case. Because I want to obtain this curve, you understand this purpose. So I have to start with a lower maturity bond first, then medium maturity and higher maturities. I want to obtain this curve. So I have to compare all the bonds available in market from lower maturity to higher maturity. And for an example, I have given 3 such values here. Okay. In practical, we have thousands of values. So what should I substitute? I substitute here 1 plus this value which I have calculated, it is 0.02 because it is 2.041%. So 0.02041. Plus we have this unknown as it is 106 divided by 1 plus R 18 months. Now you can calculate the R 18 months. Okay, let I use the answer which I have calculated and you can compare it with my answer. If there is any discrepancy, we can recalculate it. Let I go to that slide. Oh, it's moved too much. Computer is very slow. Yeah, so that calculated value is 11.438%. That value is 11.438%. All right. Is it annualized return? No. Is it annualized return? No, it is 18-month return. So I can convert it into the annualized return. How? Now you have to tell me how to convert this in annualized return. This is a simple interest rate and I want to convert in a simple interest rate only for a annual period. This is the interest rate we have calculated for 18 months. Now it's a simple linear transformation. How I can convert in annualized simple interest rate? So annualized simple interest, let I write, it's a simple interest. I want to get answer from you. These are very simple calculations, but it is required to understand properly. Otherwise, I cannot move further. How can I convert it? See, if we cannot understand this, we cannot go to stocks where there are two things, risk and return.
R18 into 2 by 3.
Into 2 by 3, that's it. And in a percentage. So let I use the calculation which I have. So it is 7.625. You can see yearly it is 7.625%. All right. Now let I insert one more page for and go to bond number 3. Just wait, it is very slow. Yeah, okay. So now let me go to bond 3. Just wait. I don't know why these people are not doing anything for this computer. So to have a better way, I can take another document. Just wait, it's taking too much. So page is opened in between. Okay, let me use this page now. So now we go to bond 3. Okay. So bond 3 is an 8% coupon bond. And it is having present value of 105 rupees. And it is maturing on 30th June 2005, right? That is given data. So the coupon value is how much now? First, let we calculate coupon value. coupon value is 8 rupees. And where we get this coupon? Now these coupons are paid on 30th June 2003. June 2004, and last coupon we get 30th June 2005. Okay, so these are the 3 coupons, and now along with this coupon I will get my 100 rupees back on this date. I have mailed 3-4 times, but they have not done anything for this computer. So I get this 100 rupees back on this date. So let me write now balancing equation for this and calculate what is the rate for this 30 month. What is the R30 month? So now can you write balance equation for this particular case? Anybody? Now it's a good practice to write this equation. Now we have good practice. We have 105 rupees. That is present value. 8 rupees I will get after 6 months. So it is 8 divided by 1 plus R 6 month. Plus another 8 rupees I will get after 18 months. Say this is 30th June 2004, so it is 18 months. Then I will get 8 rupees along with my 100 rupees face value at the end of 30th month. So I need to write like this. Okay, so this is my balancing equation. Now hopefully you understand this now. So now we have our 6 month available, which we have calculated. So it is 8 divided by 1 plus R6 month. What we have calculated for R6 month that we use. So R6 month is this 2.041% and R18 is 11.438%. So that we have used. So let we use this values 2.048% here. So it is 0.02041 plus 8 divided by 1 plus 0.11. How much it is? 438 plus we have 108 rupees, but this R30M is the only unknown now left, which I can calculate by solving this equation very easily. It's a linear equation. I can solve it very easily. So R30 months, you will get that I use my calculated value. You calculate your value 20.025%, right? It is 20.025%. All right, but is it annual rate? No. So I have to convert it into the annualized simple interest rate. So what is the annualized simple interest rate in this case? It is 20.025 multiplied by, now see, how much is its maturity? 30 months. So which should be multiplication factor here? Can anybody tell me what is the the multiplication factor here?
Into 2 by 5.
2 by 5, right? And that gives me some percentage value, which is my 8.010%. Now we have complete term structure with these three cases available. You can see I can have a graph now with this simple interest rate philosophy. So I can now create such graph. So let I take. And I can have now this percentage yield with simple interest rate. And years of maturity. Let's say 6 months, say 12, the information is not there, 18, then 24 information is not there. We have to find. So here we say it is in number of months, let me say. It may be in year, it may be in months. So now I have 1 point here, similarly 1 point here, 1 point here, and in between if I have some other information available, I can join them and I can have this curve which I have explained you, right? So this curve is there. This curve is very important in the bond market and it varies from country to country. So every country has different such curves, right? You can refer to the websites. I will show you that practically also what is the present curve of the different bonds available in market, right? Which is the yield curve. I hope this is clear now. Now we go to compound interest calculation for this same. So we can plot this yield curve for using simple interest or using compound interest. Now let me go to the compound interest philosophy. So now we go to the compound interest calculation. Now here, for each of these three cases. Now we calculate on the compound interest rate. So for first bond, so now first bond, how we calculate the compound interest rate? Can anybody tell me? We have R 6 months available. We have its annual value available. OK. And I want to know what is the compound interest rate. So let I reiterate what is R 6 month that we have calculated. It is 2.041%. Now I want to calculate the compound interest rate. This, which is this R is effective annual rate, right? With the compound interest formula. So let I write it is effective annual rate. Let us correct this. So it is effective annual rate. So what should be this equal to? It is 1 plus R period, which is 6 months, raised to how many periods in a year? 2, because if I calculate it for 6 months, there are 2 years. So in that way, now R 6 months is available. I can find this R. So this way I can convert it into the compound interest rate. So that if you calculate, you will get this value. So you do it yourself and compare with my calculation. So let I use this value. Yes. So that compound rate will be 4.123%. That rate will be 4.123%. So you get 4.123%. Similarly for bond 2, now you can tell me very easily. I have R 18 months available, which is value 11 point something. Yeah, 11.438%. That is simple interest rate for this period.
Sir Sudaram?
It is the interest that I get after 18 months. Okay. Now I convert it into the effective annual rate with compound interest philosophy. So what you should write, 1 plus R is equal to 1 plus R 18 months raised to. Now what is the power here? That is very important.
2 by 3.
2 by 3. Good. And then you calculate this R. So that you will get this value, 7.487%. 7.487%. And last one, bond 3, which is 30-month bond. So last bond is 30-month bond, which gives me 30-month return of some 20.025%. Okay, and I can use this equation now in a similar way with R 30 month as my period interest rate. And what will be power now?
2 by 5.
2 by 5, right? And that gives me value of R now in an annualized return, and that will be 7.574%. So that will be 7.574%. And now you can again plot this similar kind of graph with the compound interest rates, right? So either term structure, you can use a simple interest rate or compound, but you have to specify which philosophy you are taking, right? Usually compounding we are preferring, right? Because we always compare with the compound interest rate. So this way we can get this value. So this is called term structure of interest rate for the bonds. I hope you clearly understood this now. You recalculate all these things, right? And then let we come to any difficulty next time. Okay. Now I move to the next topic that I actually want to cover yesterday, but not covered. Now we go to the introduction to the stock, then risk and portfolio theory. Because in portfolio we have a risky security as well as risk-free security, means stocks as well as bond. It should be a flavor of something. So we are right now only seeing stock from the modeling point of view. Then in the next lecture, next unit, we will see the prediction forecasting kind of thing using time series and other models. I hope you understand my objective. So we are now having a very broad picture. So what is stock? Let me understand today. It is a risky security. So that gives its owner the right to a proportion of any profits that might be distributed rather than reinvested by the firm that issues the stock. So the stock gives ownership. The stock gives the ownership, and we are owner in the way that whatever be the firm making profit in a proportion, we are having a right to get this profit rather than you can say it is reinvested. The owner of the stock we call the stockholder, and the profits that company distribute to stockholder are called dividend. So usually the bonds are paying the interest, but the stocks are paying dividend, but that dividends are random. They are not like a coupon. So you can compare now coupon and dividend. Coupon is a fixed tenure, right? Its frequency is fixed, its value is fixed, its period is known in advance, as well as, I hope my sounds you are getting or some disturbance in between. I hope it is not. Okay. So dividends are in general random and not known in advance. They will depend on the profit as well as the policy of the particular company, right? So this is the, you can say a payment received from stock is different from payment received from bond. Also, there is no fixed maturity for a stock. So there are some differences and similarities from bond. One is the randomness of this dividend payment and absence of the guaranteed nominal value. If you buy today's stock at some price, there is no nominal value attached with this stock. Its base value is fixed, but nominal value is not fixed. Means whenever you sell, there is no guarantee which value you will get. So in principle, it will not expire. It will not expire. It has no maturity, right? I think I'm getting some disturbance on the. I hope you are getting my sound. Anybody confirm?
Yes, sir.
Because I'm getting some message of disconnection. I don't know why. The system is now deteriorating. Okay, no issue. Let we have reconnected. Okay. Okay. So now again I reset. Okay. So the stockholder can sell the stock to another person like a bond, but there is no guaranteed value associated with it, and there is no guaranteed value of dividend, and the payment frequency is also not known like the coupons in the bond. So that is the difference. When there is no risk of default, we can predict exactly how much bond will pay if it held until maturity, right? If the company will not default in a case of bond, then we know how much it will pay at the end of the maturity. But with stock, there is no such possibility. Future dividends are uncertain. So is the price of the stock at any future date. Therefore, the stock is always a risky security in that way, right? Otherwise, the liquidity risk, the inflation risk is also there here. So whatever risk with the bonds are also there with the stock. It can have a positive return. It can have a negative return, right? Also, there are two kinds of things that we have to consider in considering the stocks compared to the bonds. That is the capital gain or loss. So here we have to consider two things, either gain or loss. And also in case of the bond, we are taking the yield to maturity depends on the coupon rate. Here we have to consider the dividend yield. So that also we take into consideration in calculation when we model the stocks, right? So all risk factors that we apply to bonds also apply to stocks, but there are some more risk associated with it, and that's why it is a risky asset. Okay. And then we have one concept of going long or short. So that is also useful when we write the mathematical equation when we model the stocks. So what is going long and what is going short? So that is very important. When going long position, that means act of buying, right? Usually this is the word preferred by the people who are doing the trading. So long position means act of buying the stock from someone. Usually it is through exchange and owns it. So you are the owner of the stock when you are in a long position. Short position. What is the short position? It's a slightly tricky kind of thing. It consists of borrowing the stocks from someone who owns and sell it. So I am not owner of this stock. I borrow this stock from someone and sell it. I am not owning this owning this stock, even though I am selling it. So that is called a short position. Later on, I have to cover my short position. Later on, I have to cover my short position. How? I have to buy that stock at later time. So see, this is slightly difficult in modeling. Short position. Short position means I do not have anything in my portfolio or in my hand, or I am not owning anything, but still I am selling it by borrowing it. Okay. And then at later time, depends on the, you can say the time allocated, depends on the kind of market, either cash market, then same day. If it is a future or option, it may be on a month back, after 1 month or 28 days, depends on the expiry period. So depends on that, I will buy it again and deliver it to the its original owner, right? So that is called the short position. And the act of buying the stock at a later time is called the covering the short position or short covering. And in case of bond, there is no such thing is there. It is very simple. The creditor buys the bond and becomes in long position, and the debtor issues the bond becomes in a short position. It's very simple in a bond that we have seen its mathematical model. Now, when we see next time these stocks, this will be slightly difficult, right? So hopefully you understand this terminology. Okay. We have completed the full discussion of the bond and its yield curves. Now next tomorrow we have the tomorrow we do not have lecture for this, but Friday we have the lab session for this. So I start with the MATLAB. So hopefully you all have either created online login with the methods, or if you have your own resource, you're ready with the MATLAB. So next lab session, which is on Friday, we will see how to deal with the interest rate calculation in the MATLAB that we have seen, and we particularly created term structure of interest rate using the MATLAB inbuilt function, right? And I will introduce you to two toolboxes that are available in MATLAB, Financial Toolbox and the Econometrics Toolbox, right? If you have any question, then you can ask me. Otherwise, I think the time is going to over now today. So in between, I am getting some sound for disconnection. Okay, connection is there. Any doubt so far? But hopefully you understand today's example of calculating term structure. That is very important when we go to practical. All right, so let me answer and stop recording.